extra ability to text them.
Maybe she called him. She's in Hawaii. Thanks for everybody's attendance. Everybody that's here is, well, we appreciate you being here. Let's just get started and jump right into this, Mr. Kirby, with your report.
All right. Good evening. And just a reminder to the board, I guess, and Alex here and whoever else is listening, I send a weekly report, weekly update to the board, and I think I trust you're all getting it okay. And I've got a few comments back, so appreciate that. So what I like to do is just kind of go over some of the highlights from that, some of the main things that might still be discussion worthy. So last we had that meeting with a group came and shared about the Navarro property, about the Fiddle Festival, may want to use that, and want to use some others. I talked to the Fiddle Festival folks, Gary Hill, and they're not interested in that section to park vehicles. And I think at this point we're going to plan to utilize that 4-acre field just behind the old institute, and we're up there a couple times, and it looks like there's going to be room there. The city is on board with it. I'm sure it'll get a little dusty in there. I don't know if I can get some water down maybe as for the neighbors that are right there, but I think that should work pretty well. So they can use our west parking lot primarily, all of that parking lot, especially people in wheelchairs, etc. It'll be easy access into the school, even some of the big rigs that want to park there. That 4 acres that I think they may use some of the Maloney property. They have a pasture up there. They're going to kind of get prepared for them too. So it looks like between those 3 areas, Fiddle Festival should be covered. But the discussion about that other property, I think that's off the table. We weren't thinking we weren't going to need it for that extra parking. The Fiddle Festival is not either, so I don't, as far as I'm concerned, that proposal's off the table for now. Day on the Hill, thank you everyone, all the board members up to the Day on the Hill, 2 days over at the Capitol building, and we listened to lots of discussions, and HB 93 of course was a big topic, and we were hoping that would go down, but it didn't. It passed and the governor signed it, and life moves on, so we've got to figure out how we'll deal with that down the road. Let's see. So Drew, you probably mentioned the FFA breakfast. We got to come up to it. It was really nice, and he can tell you a little bit more about it. We did an interview for a bus mechanic. We had a need for a bus mechanic, and we were recommending to hire Kyle Dondero. I did call some of his references and got a pretty solid reference. Thought he would be good. His specialty is diesel. So our entire fleet is diesel. So hopefully that'll. I know our bus drivers and bus supervisor May are very, very pleased to have a mechanic out there just to fix stuff on a daily basis. So he just today was his first day, and so he's out there. I did speak to a Washington County Democrat group. Barb Barber invited me Tuesday the 25th, and I think there were 13 or 14 people there, and it was a good group. Parking along the street up by the alternative school has been it's really a mud pit. When they took those trees out, and it's a mess. And I think there's a little bit of fill put in a couple of places. And we had a lady called that she got stuck, and I think the city pulled her out and pulled her bumper off of her vehicle. So she gave us a call. and so we've had some discussions on that. And Mike Campbell just called me today. We're talking about getting rock. We're talking about the basalt rock, or the various sizes of rock where you need pit run or regular. And he came back today and said they have asphalt chips. He said it's worked really well a lot of places, and for parking area, he said they could work and they'll do it for free. So we thought it was going to be a cost, or at least a split cost between us and the city, but they're going to work on it tomorrow. So if you go up there, they have signs all along there from the baseball fields clear around. They're going to put in asphalt chips and spread them out and roll them in, so it should be, hopefully it'll improve that parking area. We had our Pioneer Principal Interview Committee and had a good committee working on that, and we have selected Eric Davis, and he's on the agenda to be approved, but he's in Caldwell. He's been there for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. Caldwell Teacher of the Year a couple of years ago, second grade teacher. He's run summer schools a couple summers, and so he'll be a new administrator, principal, but has a really solid background. I think a lot of the teachers and staff, we had a lot of pioneer people were on that committee, and they just felt, I think, a real connection because he truly understood where they're at, really explained how he can challenge low kids, regular kids, high kids with enrichment, and anyway, he will be our recommendation. We'd had some discussion about the exemplary, about the self-directed learner policies, and I've worn the high school out, and everybody else, we're not there yet. Wendy Moore, who I listened to for a 15-minute presentation over in Boise just after the Day on the Hill, and she made this sound like, oh, it's not too difficult. You just put these kids in it, and they count as full-time FTE, and so since that time, the devil's in the details as to what that looks like, who it's going to work for. We're not done working on it, and so, but we're not ready to adopt the policy tonight. And it was on the agenda to adopt. She did today, after my third request, sent some policies that are being utilized elsewhere, so I'll take a look at those and we'll still have some discussion. So on Thursday, we just discussed kind of unofficially briefly a unit that can do quick background checks. City Rec is needing something. It would help us, I think, in some ways with parent volunteers if they go back past the, I don't know, but we need to do this in just some further discussion, but it costs about $1,000. It's called a Raptor system. We had it in Wyoming. West Ada has them in most of their schools. And I went by Chief Joseph Elementary yesterday, or Friday, when we were there in school, they weren't. Talked to the principal for a little while, and they like it. It's, it's just a good, quick check. You put your driver's license in. So if you have service workers that come in and work in your schools, parents, or you want to send parents on a field trip, and you just need to know that information. It's a good, quick, easy way to do it, and it's not going to take the place of a comprehensive background check that we're going to have on all of our staff, but something to consider if we want to do something of that nature. Like I said, West Ada has it in their schools and use it a lot. Met with Kyla and Barb last week to discuss kind of a preliminary discussion on the budget, and clearly we're going to have to back off a little bit from where we were this year. And I think we all know that due to some declining enrollment. So it's going to affect two or three staff members, 2 or 3 teachers, probably 2 in SPED, and probably 1 other, either Pioneer or middle school, and then a couple pairs, I think is what we're looking at. So that's never a fun thing, but I think it's going to be done through retirement and attrition. I don't see us probably not letting too many people go through as a RIF policy, but that's always some sort of a possibility. Somebody mentioned to me we had some issue with the lights up at the high school and parking. Are you going to talk about that or no? Okay, so should be fixed on Friday apparently. This morning the time clock was turned off apparently, so the timer, because you had daylight savings time and it was just black up there, so it's pretty dark. But they're aware, Marcy kicked that on, and then there's a few lights out, and the city's going to look at them on Friday, so hopefully we'll fix it, get it fixed. I mentioned the crushed asphalt in the parking. EV Studios is our architectural firm. They're going to just looking at all of our projects, our buildings and roofs and gym floor and all of that. We're going to have a meeting on Thursday. They're going to come over here on site, and they would like to see the building. So I haven't got to talk to our principals yet because I just got this about 3:30 this afternoon. Set a date. So we'll plan on a meeting at 11 o'clock down here on Thursday with those of you who can be here, and then they will in fact, they're going to start at the high school about 9:30. I said that's kind of where our priority is with the roof, as well as the oxygen roof, as well as the gym floor. They can see all that stuff. Probably 9:30 to 11, and then they'll come down here for a meeting. Then they'll tour some of the other parts of the school to kind of see where we're at. So they'll be here all day on Thursday and likely on Friday as well. LOR Foundation provided 7 drinking fountains to the district, and they are now all installed. I think there's still a couple of paint projects or tile projects to do, but they're in and they look pretty nice. And thank the LOR Foundation for them. And I'm told that they also provided a squeegee system at the tennis court. I think it's for the city, but it's clearly benefiting our kids on tennis.
I used them the other day, they're really nice.
Okay, you get some water out quickly, and it's
Fast.
nice. And that's
Yep.
Lower Foundation, so certainly we thank them for their donations for worthy causes. Angie, as you know, is quitting us. She put in her resignation a while back. We put it out there. We have interviews on Wednesday at 2:30, and we were not inundated with applicants. We have 2 right now, we're looking for a 3rd. But we'll interview on Wednesday and see where we're at. So. And that's probably enough. There's a few other things, but if you have any questions, other than that, also.
I think I read that in your weekly update, but just to verify on the Raptor system,
Yes.
that is just a check of the sex offender registries, right?
Well, it is, and potentially you can customize it to, like, if you have custody issues, within your school, if you want that to flag those types of things. There's 3 or 4 things that it can do, but it's primarily sex offenders, and it checks all 50 states. It's not just a local check.
Yes.
So.
Any other questions?
No, I just wanted to say I really like your reports. And I don't know, I really appreciate the detail and the conciseness, if you can do both, detail and concise. Yep, I really like it. So thank you.
Okay. Let's move into the administrator reports.
You always do her last, so
Let's get her done.
All right. So just a couple of things. I apologize, I didn't have my report into the packet earlier. But the general supervision file review is our biggest celebration, I think, in special education, so it's worth saying more than one time. This is a process in which the State Department reviews our IEPs to determine whether or not we're meeting compliance with state and federal requirements. Each of you guys might remember a couple years ago I talked about we have like over 800 ways that we can screw up an IEP, so it's a big deal to do that. This is the first year that the State Department has randomly selected IEPs. In the past, we have selected the IEPs to present. We've been doing random selection in Weiser for a couple of years, but in general, the state expectation has not been that. So this year they randomly selected an IEP from every single district. Only 31 districts had compliant IEPs, and Weiser was one of them. So when you think about all public schools and all charters, to know that we had one of those compliant IEPs, that puts us in the top 15%, which I think is definitely something to celebrate. And that is that's our teachers, right? They are really being very diligent about making sure that our IEPs are individualized for our students, and that our present levels of performance where the kids currently are is matching with the goals and the standards they're selecting. And that has been the biggest area of challenge across the state. And so to meet that expectation is pretty exciting. We will be meeting just briefly this Friday for our kind of quarterly contact, just for an hour. Snow days, I know that'll come up later with interrupting our workday, so we're going to do a condensed version of that. But one of the pieces that we'll talk about is the parent survey that our Parent Advisory Council, along with our special education teachers and general education teacher, have put together that we want to provide to parents to really work on our transition programming over time. What is it like when kids transition from one building to the next, so we're not starting all over with getting to know kids, and just getting their insight on that. So we'll review that survey together as a SPED team, and hopefully that will go out to parents, especially at the elementary level. Not that every level is not important, but it's a little bit easier for us to get contact with parents at the elementary during conferences, and hopefully we're receiving some feedback on that at that time. And then we'll also be talking about our extended school year. It sounds kind of weird, but it's time to start talking about getting ready for that summer programming. So hopefully we'll have invitations out to parents at conference time as well, so we get a good count on how many kids that we have are eligible for that service and how many would be interested in coming to that opportunity. So those are kind of the big things from special education. Any questions that you might have for me with regard to that?
I would like to make a comment, not so much a question, is as you were reading, I was reading along on yours, and my computer decided it wanted to read along too.
Oh,
I was
good.
reading your report, updates and highlights, updates and highlights. I'm like, shut up. So sorry about the
It's okay.
interruption there, but my computer
I have
was trying
children,
to
it's
follow
okay.
along.
We've got one too.
Oh, snap. Thank you so much.
Of course.
And it's an awesome thing to celebrate that we're in the top 15%.
I think it's pretty cool.
Good job.
Yeah, kudos to the Speds department, for sure.
They've been working very hard.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, so you saw my report that I sent in, I hope. A lot of that has to do with some sports and activities like that. I included some of our updates and highlights from our counseling department as far as our FAFSA and things like that we're doing. Just some additional things. I didn't include our FFA breakfast, I forgot that. This year we had a great turnout, and I am told that we cooked a lot of eggs. So that's kind of been the theme this year. Eggs, we used a bunch of them. So another thing that I'd like to add is that we had a few staff members that went to the NCCE Seattle, our conference in Seattle. It was a tech conference. I haven't heard all the ins and outs of that, but I know they had a great time, and they sent me lots and lots of pictures. So some of them on task, some of them not on task at the time, but lots of pictures. Another thing I wanted to talk about quickly was our parent-teacher conferences. We changed those dates in hopes that our students would have an opportunity to correct some of those grades before they actually locked in place for those kiddos. And I think we accomplished that task. Our percentage of parents' attendance was up a little bit compared to where it's been in the past. I think we've been roughly 25 to 30%, and this year we were just over 30. So last year we were at 25, so that's kind of been where we're at. Hopefully, moving that up another couple weeks, we'll get some more attendance. I do think that the basketball game that we had on the same night helped us, and we should have offered free popcorn or something. I don't know, but we did see a lot of the kiddos that we needed to see, and hopefully they're going to be able to correct those grades before they're set. So, are there any questions as far as my written report? We are in spring sports. Spring sports are crazy. We have a lot of numbers that are out. Usually our track team is out, and they get a lot of turnout, and I think they're 80 plus students. They're practicing up at the high school. They start out in the gym, and then they're on the grass and running on some ditch mix and things like that. They're also utilizing the track a little bit. We're hoping that with the nice weather, maybe they can get in there early. Fingers crossed. I wasn't sure our plans as far as when they're going to come in and start seeding. I don't know if anybody knows that. I was going to reach out to Houston Head tomorrow, just so I have an idea, because I'm reseeding at my house, so it seems like a good time. So we'll see. And then just the last note I put down there at the very bottom, the gym floor. We've received a few complaints from district basketball on our gym floor with dead spots. And then our standards are now out of the floor. So we had to take duct tape and tape over them because the metal part is now sticking up because the floor has been sanded too much, and they can't move that. So I'm just looking at that. I'm hoping that this is something that is going to happen right after graduation so that it's in before school starts. Because if not, we're going to need to start looking at a place to play our games. And I don't know if our Ox gym is painted appropriately for the high school court or not. So those are just some things to
We don't have shot clock.
keep on your mind. There's no shot clock, there's,
And only one
It would need a
side,
lot.
and only stands on one side.
Right.
Mhm.
Small problem,
Yeah.
small.
I will say,
500.
there are a couple things in that gym that I don't think have even been considered, but, our hoops, I don't know what those are called, that hold the,
Backboards and everything?
yeah, the whole mechanism that holds the backboard on.
In the main.
Yeah, in our main gym, those, when we decide to do something in there, those are gonna have to really be considered for replacement, on those, so,
Giving dagger looks.
I know. But anyway, just some things to think about that at some point,
Yeah.
we're gonna need to look at that, and I'll be quiet.
Bleachers too.
You mentioned bleachers.
Bleachers are gonna, so our bleachers, here's the problem with our bleachers. If we take them out to put in the floor, we won't get them to go back in. Because we have modified them and welded them back together, and we won't get those to go back in. Besides that, there are 192 broken seats in those bleachers, because I counted every one of them.
Including the row that's missing right behind the sports.
Well, we actually have that row.
It's on purpose.
We have that row. So there's the bleachers that we've looked at, they actually have the announcer's booth that sets in right at the ends of that is kind of in the stands, so that the chairs can back up. The reason we made that path was so that people could go up and walk around the bench, because with the announcer's booth that's down on the floor, there's no room. And so if we move,
It doesn't, yeah.
no, what we would do is take one row of our bleachers out on the top and slide the whole row back further, which would give more room for our players, and then our announcer's booth would be in the stands. So there'd be a better walkway behind them, and then the athletes would sit in front of kind of the walkway on the floor. That way we could utilize that space, because I think there's 70 seats that are out right there. I found those seats. The problem is when we replace those seats in the bleachers, you have to take off the end one and every single piece all the way down to the broken one. And I looked at that, like, gives me a headache just looking at it, right? But it would be a ton of work to go in and fix those, so. Other than that, that's all I have.
Well, it's amazing that in the spring we have five sports, 6 sports, and like 90, you're gonna have well over 200, 250 student athletes.
We've had a good turnout in all of our spring sports so far.
It's amazing.
Just a question on Seven Brides for Seven Brothers. I heard
Yep.
that the middle school went up there today. Is it worth going and seeing?
Yeah, they're doing a nice job for sure.
Awesome.
Yeah, we actually had all the schools come today. It's nice for our high school students to have a practice,
Yeah.
with those kiddos, and all the other schools came and did a nice job. And we only had one little ice. We need to get some ice for one little guy. But other than that, everything went good. So I think the kids enjoyed it for sure.
I look forward to watching it.
Yeah, and I put that on there as far as the dates, but
Yeah.
March 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th at 7 p.m. And if you have a chance, please stop by. Those guys put a lot of work into that and do a nice job. So.
Hey, it's 30 seconds on, you had a little slight incident, if people saw an ambulance or.
Oh, yeah, we had a kiddo that had an allergic reaction to something that she had ate, and right before I came down here, happened out on the softball field. Coach did a nice job, got the student help, got in contact with Bo, who contacted me. I was still there, so I pulled out and went over there, and then Mr. Kirby showed up, but the ambulance was there and stuff, and they transported her down just to double check, and her parents were there and everything, so, yeah. And she's gonna be doing okay, so I'll get an update later and let everybody know.
Thank you.
You done?
That's the
We
most
have
I've
nothing
talked in 3
going on at
years.
the middle school.
There's no more money anyway.
Things are really
Don't
nice.
ask for anything.
Well,
So get
I won't
off
even
on
bring
the
up the scoreboard. Love the Lore Foundation, right? We just finished up the quarter and are getting geared up for parent-teacher conferences. We are thinking that we will move them into the hallways again, just so teachers, we feel like that will help with the flow. And some of that transition as far as like parent-teacher conferences, we don't have the amount of time that you do at the elementary with just your grade of 20, right? Like for the 120 kids. So just, we're hoping that that will help the flow, moving our teachers out into the hallways and having those there. And then we would like to follow the high school in future calendars. We would like to have them on the same days. And we'll work around games, and we understand that there will be some overlap there, but now we know to have popcorn ready. So, getting ready for our ISAT testing will start on April 1st. And we'll be doing that a little bit differently too. In the past, it's all been done at one time, kind of at the end of the day, or we've altered the schedule, but with our internet, we're a little iffy on that. So we did the test run earlier in the year where they take it during their class time, so we don't have to alter our schedule. We have it proctored. It's just one class doing the test at a time. It looks like it goes on forever on the calendar, but the kids still just get the same amount of time in the testing. So we're doing that. Our boys basketball teams both went into the SRV playoffs. Sadly, we walked away with second and fourth, but they played really well. Our fans were great, cheered on the team. It was nice to see them do that. So we're excited. Track started today. Tennis will start on the 17th. So just no downtime. We just pick up and carry on. So that's you got my board report, right?
Yes,
Did
I
you?
did. It's
Okay.
in there.
Okay.
Yes.
So I thought I had sent it last
I
week.
think you probably
We
did.
have Ben back, which is great, and then we got to go to the PLC conference in last month, and that
Awesome.
started. It was awesome, and started some critical conversations. It's it's a big ship, but we're starting to have those conversations and sharing that vocabulary. We have some teachers at the middle school. We're doing a book study. Our TI and PLC, they kind of go hand in hand, and so we're doing a book study, and they're getting excited about it as well. So.
Steve Lynch is out, he's returning a late bar for high school. So we're gonna have to pay an extra day of fee. They had a dance with Friday the other night, and he'd arranged to take it back, so anyway. You have his written report. We do. And he did a pretty nice job. He's tracking his, some things on there, you can see his behaviors and taking some, trying to keep it a score a little bit, having some competition in the classes, so. He's working on things. I talk to him pretty regularly, and anyway, he's gonna be back next month.
Okay, you guys received my written report, and I just want to give you some updates. Last week was a huge week at Pioneer School. It was Reading Week, and our theme was the world belongs to those who read, and each grade level chose a different continent and used that as kind of their focus for the week, and tons of really neat artwork in the hallways. Kids did a lot of fun stuff that way. And then we had a song and a dance. We adapted the Macarena to reading a book. And as you guys know, I had both of my knees replaced, and I did some Macarena dancing at the closing assembly, and I paid the price over the weekend. So if I'm limping around, that's part of the problem. But the kids had a great time. The teachers did an incredible job. And it's just a really fun week where we just focus on literacy and focus on reading. We have a little something that we call DEAR, drop everything and read. And a few times during the week, we just get on the PA and we just say, it's DEAR time, drop everything and read. So for a half hour, regardless of the time of the day, we just drop everything and kids get an opportunity to read. So a lot of fun, huge effort on the part of the staff, and turned out really great. And I think it was definitely a success. One of the things that comes out of Reading Week is when kids read a lot of books in a lot of minutes, Mr. Davies has to do something silly. And so it sounds like I'm going to get some pies in the face here. So if you guys want to get down to the assembly on the 19th, which I think is next week on Wednesday, I can't remember the time, but I can get you that. The kids that read the most are going to have an opportunity to throw a pie in my face. So we'll see how that goes. And then we closed out Reading Week with Bingo for Books last Thursday night, and we had great turnout. And the thing that's really cool about this is Nancy Blue just does an incredible job. She organizes this, gets things put together. She has other staff helping her, but she really is kind of the driving force behind it, ordering the books and getting everything ready to go. And then just kudos to the rest of the staff that helped make the event possible. We had a lot of people sign up, hang around, and help make sure that Bingo for Books was a success. So incredible effort by the staff, and once again, thanks so much to Nancy Blue for her leadership on that. And the really awesome part of this whole deal is we sent home 1,402 books. That's how many books left our gym, and kids took those books home, and they're brand new books, and they took them home into their homes. So what a great event, and a great way to get books into the households in the Weiser community. So that's a great event, and our sponsors, I know that the Weiser Education Foundation helps out with that, the Pioneer PTO, and then you guys saw in there about the Readers Become Leaders program that Mayor Hibbard has got us involved in, and the Association of Idaho Cities. We won a drawing and got some money there, and then we got a little check for participating. So all of that money went right into Bingo for Books, and that's how we get all those books so kids can take those home and have books in their house. So pretty neat deal. A great event. I know it's been going on for a long, long time in Weiser, and it's a tradition we would really like to see continue. We also have parent-teacher conferences coming up. We're excited about that. As you guys know, at Pioneer School, and I think at Park School as well, we get close to 100% attendance. So parent-teacher conferences is a big week for us next week, and looking forward to that. I know the teachers really like the opportunity to visit with parents and meet with them face-to-face. And then I will change hats here for just a second to the Federal Programs Director. Just want to let you guys know that we are planning on our STEM school again for a week. We'll have students and families sign up for that, and we'll try to take about 20 students per grade level from 1st through 5th. And then we have a fun STEM camp, STEM school for a week, the first week in June. And this year, our field trip at the end of the week on June 6th is we're going to go to the Watershed in Boise. And that's if you guys haven't looked that up, look it up. It's an incredible opportunity for our kids to go over, and they are going to be able to do some water testing, and they're going to get, they just built a brand new exhibit hall. They'll get to go in and do that, and then they're also going to be able to go out, and there's kind of a shallow water place with running water, and they're going to actually get to construct some dams and see how those work and do some different things. So real hands-on, a lot of hydrology and that kind of stuff. So we're very, very excited about that, and that'll be a 3-hour experience there. We'll have 3 groups, and they'll spend an hour at each station. So everybody will get to see that. So we're really looking forward to that. And again, the STEM school will be, this is one of those voluntary things, and it's a lot of fun. Kids have a good time with that. So we're shooting for the first week of June for that. I'll keep you posted on the details. You guys have any questions for me?
Just a comment, next time you, if you get a chance to modify a dance for whatever, could you send us a video?
Okay. I'm sure there's videos out there.
I'll have to go ask.
I guarantee you.
In this day and age, you know. Okay.
Thank you so much.
I can tell you, I'm horrible, but I gave it a shot.
I bet
bet the kids love
I'm
it.
sure the kids love it.
No, no.
I'm intrigued to know what the motions were for the Macarena, like how did you?
You end with, read a book now. You kind of get the tune in your head.
No, the tune is there, yeah. Unfortunately.
You'll be there the rest of the night.
Whistle. That's awesome. I've been looking at all the reports, and so every school across the board, ADA is falling, attendance is falling. Do you think that's because of sickness? I mean, it's gonna get warm now, but is the flu and sickness just the last month or so just
February was
hammered
tough.
all of it?
February was a really
Tough.
tough month.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's how I assumed it was probably that, but now it's getting warm, so now we're gonna have a whole other set of problems. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? All right, have we had any public? Okay, and we got an email from the WEA that, do we have a report from the WEA today? Okay.
She sent an email.
Yeah, she did. She was gonna try to get somebody here, but with her children.
New baby.
All right, well, let's just move right into the consent agenda. Has everybody had an opportunity to look at the minutes from our prior meetings? Any questions, changes, concerns about it? Okay. Our current agenda, any changes other than just the one?
Yeah, we're
Policy
gonna
looking
table
at
the
table.
policy, the 2470.
Okay, so C?
Yeah, C
Table
is
C.
gonna be put up, yeah.
Okay. Heaven forbid, any more resignations, retirements coming to us? Okay. All right, why don't you, let's go over the staff real quick that we would like to consider hiring. We've talked about At least two
Those
of
will
them.
be action items further down.
Later on?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I don't have
Okay.
anything other than you talked about the mechanic,
We
but
did talk.
we don't have to
Okay,
move that one.
fantastic. Barb, it's
Into
the
me?
financial report.
Alrighty. Okay, first of all, I'll start off with the comment that you just made about attendance. And we have had significantly impacted attendance due to illness. And the state allows us to submit a letter that addresses that, what they call impacted attendance. And Jenny Murray, our data coordinator, is tabulating reports for me, and we're doing comparisons between this time last year and also this time last semester, first and second weeks of each semester, and comparing them. And we have had a few weeks in January and February where we had 82% attendance. We typically run 93% attendance as a low day for us, so it significantly impacts us because we are funded on average daily attendance. So we will submit that impacted attendance letter, and the state will make some adjustments to our financing as a result of that, because we have had significant incidences of illness. We've had flu, we've had RSV, we've had pneumonia, we've had it all. There's a couple of schools that have been able to identify the fact that it's just been influenza A. That's not been the case here. It has been across the board for what our kids have been impacted with, our kids as well as our staff. We had 17 days of school last month in February, and we had 168 days of absences among staff. So it's also impacted our staff. So we are watching that very closely, and we will submit that impacted attendance letter so that our funding it won't completely restore it, but it'll allow us to make an adjustment to bring it up somewhere near the norm. And as to Mr. Dickinson's continual request for money, the 10-year facilities plan did include the gymnasium floor, and it is a project that is scheduled for this summer. Mr. Kirby referenced the fact that our architects will be on site on Thursday, and the purpose of them being here is to go through and assess the district in conjunction with what Dr. Boucher did with our facilities quality review. And also with that, take our 10-year facilities plan that you have already approved for what we are going to spend that money on. We do have the opportunity to revise that 10-year plan, and we will take a look at that, and upon their recommendation, bring it back to you. But the two things that I don't expect to change that are on the schedule for this summer are the gymnasium floor and the roof at the high school. Those are two must-be's. And so when they're here on Thursday, we will prepare the bid documents. Because you've already approved the 10-year facilities plan, and those items were two things that were scheduled to occur this year, I'm hoping that you don't feel it necessary for me to come to you to request a bid. You will definitely approve the bid once it goes out to bid, but I would like to see that be in the newspaper as quickly as possible. Mr. Pfeiffer has done a great job in getting some market estimates on some of our costs for those things. So we do have some shortcuts that we can do as far as the bid process. We may have a contractor already in place for the roofs, and he's done a lot of work on the gym floor at the high school, and there's a primary vendor that would most likely be our only bidder, and he does have us penciled in. So if he does come in as the low bid, we're already on his schedule to accomplish the gym floor. The bleachers is something that we're going to have to talk about. The bleachers is something that cannot be paid with those modernization funds. It does need to come out of general fund or levy dollars. And, we can certainly talk about that as we get closer to that project and see how much those bleachers are going to cost us. Because there are some our plant facilities money. Remember, we have the 4-year, $310,000. This year we've spent all of that on the track, but next year we'll get that other $310,000 from that and the $400,000 from the supplemental levy that'll pay the money back, because we levied $800,000 for the track over a 2-year period of time, but it cost us $1.2 million just this year. So we've spent all of those things that we would have had in what I would call our savings account, and so we need to wait for that to be replenished before we can do the other projects, like purchase the bleachers, and then also as we're looking at doing something with the building the building was donated to us for the sports complex, but we have to pay for the concrete and the power and the water and the actual construction of that building, and so we need to see where those levy dollars are going to even out for us after we pay for the bleachers and do some of those kinds of things. So all of those things are coming, Mr. Dickerson. And now back to the report that I have prepared for you. In your packets, you have the traditional report that I do that tells you where we are on a monthly basis. We are at 50% of our year as far as salaries go, and really where we should be on supplies for everything that has to do with our education programs. So if each one of those should be anywhere from the 48 to 50% line item, and you'll see that we are still over in some of those areas. Our maintenance is going to be over. Our curriculum areas are going to be over because we buy those things up front. And then also on maintenance as well as administration, to include the superintendent's office, those things, that the budget period for that begins on July 1. So we are actually, 8 months into that. So we are at 66% on those particular line items. So again, I have absolutely no concerns on where we are in the budget right now. We talked in November when our first reporting period came out that our funding units were considerably less than what we had anticipated. They did wind up being 72.85 and we budgeted on 74. So my funding units are less. The really good news is, and we've talked about this a couple of times, is that the state has what they call protection. So they don't want any district to lose greater than 3% of their funding in 1 year, because we are funded on attendance. We can't really control how many kids are coming into our district and whether or not they're going to show up every day. So the state puts a level of protection in there. We were protected at our funding units of last year, so we were actually funded on 75 units this year. And then the other biggest piece of the funding model is the average salaries for our teachers. Remember, we've talked about the career ladder and where the teacher is placed. So not what we pay our teachers, but what is generated by where they fall on that career ladder. And our average, because we did have quite a few brand new teachers this year, our average was less than what I had anticipated it to be. So between the increased funding units because of protection and the reduced average salary, we're pretty much right on target for exactly where we budgeted. I think I'm $200,000 or $20,000, different than what we budgeted. So you will see an amended budget just because we need to shore up where the expenses came out of. but I'm not concerned at all about revenue, so we're not at a point of having to cut anything out of the budget that we had planned for at this time. So you will see a budget amendment that really is just a line item shift. They gave us a new account number where books were supposed to be charged from, so it's not going into elementary education, it's going into actually a curriculum section that the state has changed. And so we just have some shifting to do around in that. But as far as absolutely having to cut expenses because we're not going to have enough money to get through the year, we are not at that point. Our revenue is going to come in where I anticipated it to be. And that being said, we did receive our February 15th payment, $2.2 million. So now we are at 90% of the funding that we will receive from the state. And so we will get the remaining 10% on May 15th, and then they'll have the true up on July 15th, which includes any adjustments. Our July 15th payment is typically very small, but we'll get the remaining 10% of what it cost us to run our schools this year on May 15th. Our modernization monies, we did receive the final distribution of that, so we have an additional $1.1 million to take us up to the $5.9 million that we had anticipated. And we did earn interest on that last month, $16,434. So total interest that we've earned so far on those dollars is $72,584. And remember, the interest can be used on regular maintenance needs of the district, to where the modernization money has to be capital expenditures and not day-to-day maintenance. The $72,000 can be used on regular day-to-day maintenance. Our interest is down a little bit this month over where it was, and we talked a little bit about that last month, how we're seeing the interest rates fall. In February of 24, the interest on the LGIP fund was 5.44%. Interest this February is 4.48%. So we're down a full percent, but it was a $1,000 impact to the previous month. We earned $17,000, and this month we earned $16,000. So we are seeing the effects of the equalization of the economy. Interest rates needed to come down as far as mortgage rates so that the economy could pick back up. But when those rates are coming down, then what they're paying everybody is also coming down. So it's just the effect of how it all works. So all the discussion that we've had on units, it's time to now start doing next year's budget. We actually have 72.85 units is what we were funded on this year. We are going to lose anywhere from 40 to 50 students next year. We have 137 seniors that are going to graduate, and we have anywhere from 90 to 95 kindergartners that are going to come in. So that difference reduces our total enrollment. The only thing we can't project is what the new subdivision might bring in families that have younger children, and so we may see some growth through that. The unfortunate signing of House Bill 93 by the governor could have a significant impact on us. I don't really have any idea how to project that. Where we will see the most impact of that is in our homeschooled population. We may have some parents who decide to homeschool their kids because they're going to get $5,000 per child in order to homeschool their children, with absolutely no reporting requirement and no justification for what they're doing with those children. It's a very scary time. I would continue to encourage you to contact your legislators and tell them why this is not good legislation and why they really need to take a good look at it. But I don't have any way of projecting that, so it is my recommendation, and I hope you will charge me with funding next year's budget on 70 units. The down from where we're at 72.85, 45 students is a loss of 2.5 funding units. And so 70 is still a stretch goal for us. And that again helps with our attendance, needs to be improved in order to get there. Our student population at 1,469, when we have 93% attendance on an average, we bring that down into 1,300 students very quickly. So we need to encourage our students to be in class. And so that's what I will, the preliminary budget that I present to you will be based on 70 units, unless you'd like to send me in a different direction. And let's see. Those are all the words I have for you tonight, unless you have questions for me.
I'm not even sure what words to use to try to ask you questions. Thank you for your answer.
Thanks, Barb.
Thanks, Doug.
get on her good
I
side.
was prepared for you, could you tell?
In all the bills and things, anybody have any questions about those documents? Kyla, have any word, anything that?
There was, I went through them with Riley, because I did the Melanie part today.
Okay.
So, I didn't see anything that I needed to bring up or explain.
I didn't see any. Okay, any questions? All right, and we're forced to move on to action items. I would entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made and seconded to accept the consent presented consent agenda. I can't even say it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Pass. All right, we have a few action items to talk about. First on the, consider a declaration of a snow day. Mr. Kirby, would you just give us a little more information?
So, I guess it was Wednesday, or 14th. It would've been, yeah, it would've been Thursday the 13th that we had a lot of snow. And many of the schools around were sending kids home about noon, 1 o'clock. We didn't. And we didn't have school on Friday, but we had a staff work day. And we also had a couple of sporting events coming up on Friday scheduled. And I was hesitant to call it a snow day my first week working here, and potentially cancel a couple of sporting events. Because typically if you don't have school, you don't have sporting events. So I think a couple of those got moved to Saturday, but we were able to have those. And I just kind of kicked it down the road. All we did is just change, because those are just staff work days, said, okay, maybe we can make it down the road. But I guess I'm just going to request on behalf of the staff, it would be a good morale boost for them to give them that as a snow day. You could require them to come back. It's tough to reschedule it when they have their Fridays set, and then people have doctor appointments, little trips, and it's just tough to get everybody in there. And I think it'd just be a good move to declare that a snow day, and so teachers don't feel they're going to have to be required to come in on those days. Many of them are coming and work on their own anyway, but I guess I would request that we declare that a snow day for staff.
And we've met all the requirements. I mean, we've got all the time.
Yes, yeah. There's a full day built in, day and a half for this, for students as well, that you wouldn't have to make up. If you had one snow day, you'd be okay, day and a half, you'd be okay. 2 days, we'd be making something up, so this is built in the schedule basically. It's not gonna, you're gonna meet your contract time.
Perfect, thank you. Any questions? Okay, in order to make that happen, I would entertain a motion.
I move that we declare February 14th as a snow day for district staff.
Second.
Okay, a motion been made to declare a snow day on February 14th has been made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Guess that's just paperwork to submit to. Okay, super. We have category 1 letters for certified staff, and if I understand that right, that's the staff that have retired and come back and they have to reapply for all their jobs. Again, is that correct?
Category 1 are for anybody, well, for retired, rehire, yes, those are considered category, they're considered not category 1, but they're considered retired, rehire, so they have to apply for their job according to IRS rules. So, we do have somebody that works for the district that is in that retired, rehire, but we have several category 1 teachers that were hired after August 1st. So if you're hired after August 1st, and it's just, it's a contract that we offer that really has no property rights to it. So I mean, consider it a job interview for a year, I guess. So the category 1 letters have to be sent out to let them know that they have to apply for their job, and we will open their job up. And we do that every year anyway. So the retired rehire, he knows that it's coming, and he knows that he's got to send in a letter of interest, and it's just a formality. But it also, if let's see, let me think. Sometimes, it is, like I said, a job interview for a year, so sometimes if it's not working, that's a time that you can open it up and take new applications.
Okay. So this is not necessarily an action item, this is just to acknowledge that we have those.
No, I need an action item
Okay.
to let me send them out.
Oh, okay. Okay. Any questions about what that is?
I'll make a motion that Kyla is approved to send out the category 1 letters to certified staff.
I'll second.
Okay. Got it. Motion and second to send out category 1 letters, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead and send them out.
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna go ahead and table C,
Already
the
signed them,
policy.
but I appreciate that.
Yeah, I figured it. I figured I could throw it away. So let's just move on to D. We love talking about the school calendar, but we've had a whole year, so that's fantastic that we've been able to put this off for a whole year. So I understand maybe Mr. Davies is gonna.
I can speak to it, that's fine.
Either one, okay.
Really, the only change to the 3-year calendar that you guys approved last April is the middle school and the high school would like to have their parent-teacher conferences a little earlier in the semester, both in the fall and in the spring. And the calendar that you guys have should reflect that. It should show, I believe, in September in the fall and February in the spring. And we did that for the 2 existing calendars that are there. So the 25-26 and the 26-27. And that's the only change to those calendars. Everything else is the same. Doesn't affect instructional hours in any way. It just moved parent-teacher conferences. So that would be the only change to those 2 calendars that remain in the 3-year calendars that you guys approved.
Great. Thank you.
And just to verify what we're looking at here on this page, you have it highlighted in yellow from what the old days were?
Well, and we highlighted those, and the reason we did that, John, is we wanted to do it because those are student contact days, full student contact days at the middle school and the high school. And then one of those days, we at Pioneer School and then also at Park School, we don't have a student contact. It's a teacher work day, and then we have parent-teacher conferences. And that was a change that we made because we just felt like that afternoon session for the middle school and the high school, we didn't get the parents and the attendance. It was probably better just to have kids have a little more contact time, more time in the classroom.
I guess my only thing was just, it looks like on October 22nd, parent-teacher conference is 5 to 8 p.m. at Pioneer, and I'm assuming it should say Park?
I wonder if it just
It's cut
was
off.
too long and might have got cut off.
Okay, and then the same, like, March 18th, it just says parent-teacher conference is 5 to 8 p.m. We just probably want to get Pioneer and Park on there.
Before we print them and get them out, I'll make sure I
Okay.
look at that. It might have just been how I pasted it, and you know, sometimes you like
Yeah.
either do a wrap or
Yep.
whatever. So I'll look on that document and make
Okay.
sure that that's accurate, so parents have a accurate record of when parent-teacher conferences are. Yeah.
And have you guys looked at kind of what your usual schedule is like around those days, like September 16th, 17th? Those are good for you guys, and the February 17th, 18th-ish? I mean, it's hard to know.
So what we kind of did was we split that quarter
Yeah.
and tried to find when it was the mid-quarter kind of thing. And those were the dates, is either the 3rd week or the 4th week in September and February.
Okay, perfect.
And that's kind of where we just,
Yeah, you feel like
And-
that's good.
yeah, February is gonna be tough always. We're gonna have to deal with, district basketball and all of that, but we got it in place now to try to make that work, so. If we're good, we're gonna be able to have when we're good, we're gonna be able to have an opportunity to have them the same night again, so, because we'll host.
I like that positive
Which we like to host.
reinforcement.
That's right.
Yeah, we would like to host.
Like being
Especially
at
with a new gym
all the
floor that
verbiages
Barb's
is
buying
clear.
See it.
All the verbiage is there, it's just a matter of, if you go clear to the bottom, like the
Yeah,
last.
I'm there, but,
Anyway, we're close.
And you have to identify which line goes to
right.
And I'll make sure that I just adjust something on that spreadsheet so that
Yeah,
it
you're
prints
good.
out. We're good, yeah.
You're good.
I'll make sure it gets in there.
I just thought, oh, if parents look at it, they might be a little confused, you know?
Yep.
Any other questions that you might have? Basically the same calendar, just changing parent-teacher conference.
Right, and the only thing with our parent-teacher conferences, other than the date change, is the day change. Because we're gonna move them to Tuesday and Wednesday, just so that those parents that wanna start their weekend and leave, maybe we can catch them when they're here, I don't know. Trying something.
Yeah. And give extra credit.
No. Absolutely
Grade
hate that
reflects what
idea.
you know.
That's what we're getting there.
Well, I know.
I go anyway, but hopes if
Okay.
we get extra credit.
it. I'll make a motion that we adopt this amended 3-year calendar as presented by Mr. Reed.
I'll second.
Okay? Motion been made and seconded to adopt the calendar, the remaining 2 years of the 3-year calendar. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We now are going to, it's kind of the middle of our schedule, but we're gonna move into executive session because there's 3 or 4 different things that we can talk about in one session, so, we are going to have to do that in this room, so we will excuse everyone. Huh? And yeah, administrators, we don't, thank you for being here, anybody, we got the information we need, so.
We expect to see you at the middle school.
Go.
Yeah, unless you're concerned about the rehire, which I don't think you're.
Yeah, eat some burger.
And we will just kind of work, bear with us, we'll just work through these. The first one, actually is on F, and that is considering our contract with our superintendent. It says on here fiscal year 26. As we've talked, we may want to extend that for a calendar year.
To 27?
No.
Oh, sorry,
Oh,
it's
sorry.
26, yeah, right, no, you're right, sorry, 25, I'm ahead of myself, 25, 26,
Okay.
school year.
That reaction from the
You did, good job.
3-year closure.
Yeah.
I make a motion that we extend, if accepted, a contract for our district superintendent for fiscal year 25-26.
I'll second.
For Mr.,
For
for
Our
Mr.
superintendent,
Dave
Mr.
Kirby,
Dave
okay.
Dave Kirby.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second.
So a motion has been made and seconded to extend Mr. Kirby's contract to end fiscal year 25-26 school calendar year.
I'm doing just a clarification. Mr. Kirby's contract with us ends in June.
Yes.
And so this will be a whole new contract.
Yes.
And it will be, not be a
Okay,
retired,
not a-
retired,
not a-
but
okay.
it'll start July 1. Okay, perfect.
Okay. So that been made and seconded, all those in favor?
Alright.
Okay, so Mr. Kirby, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Happy
And
to
I
have you.
will probably get a letter out to the news just to clarify. We told the public that we would do a nationwide search at the end of this. We will still do a nationwide search a year later, probably starting in July, or in January 26, but we really appreciate what our interim superintendent has been doing and would like to give him an opportunity to wrestle us through another school year. So thank you. The next, G, consider rehiring of principals and the academic achievement director.
I move that we rehire the principals and academic achievement director as listed. in the supporting document.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to rehire principals and academic director. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, unanimous. And thirdly, rehiring our food service, maintenance director, IT director, transportation director, and lawn and grounds director.
And
It's on here.
It's on here.
Yeah.
Under H.
Yep, it's listed in our,
It's just not on the supporting document.
yep,
oh,
so it's in the motion.
oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
It's
Okay,
awesome. We got it.
thank you.
So do I still need to make the amendment?
No, you don't.
Okay,
You
good.
can look good.
Perfect. I make a motion that we rehire the food services director, the maintenance director, the IT director, the transportation director, and the lawns and ground director.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to hire these directors. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Carries, Kelly.
Thank you.
And the last one is, we have just done a whole bunch of interviews, or interviewed a few people for a Pioneer School principal, and that committee has made a decision for an Eric Davis. He's been contacted and has accepted that pending our approval. So we need a motion.
I move that we hire Eric Davis as the Pioneer School principal.
I'll second.
Okay? Motion's been made and seconded to hire Eric Davis as our new Pioneer principal. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, it carries. We shall be fully staffed again. Well, no, we've got some more now.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I was gonna say.
I might have to throw pencils here.
Were you
today.
not-
Too soon.
were you
Dang it.
not letting her go?
I gotta mess something up. Okay, that is the end of our action items. We have just some discussion items now, and first of all, because it's on A, is there any future agenda items, discussion items for our next agenda that you would like to see? Anything burning? Okay. We have had some discussion in our board meetings and policies, and talked to some of our administrators, and we would just want to have the discussion about the dress code as it pertains to employee dress code and not necessarily student dress code.
Oh, I had that wrong, sorry.
You're good.
We have the student dress code in there, but this particular discussion was based more around
Okay.
our administrators having the ability to be able to tell their teachers and their staff that this dress code needs to be, you need to dress a little more professionally. So that's why it was on
Yeah,
the
just,
agenda.
just so they have the opportunity to create their own employee dress code. They need to.
Or at least beef it, at least be able to say, our dress code is professional, a hoodie is not professional, or you know,
Yeah.
something. Be able to describe maybe what, with their staff, what professionalism means.
So it seems to me like in here where it says enforcement, school district staff members who do not, in the judgment of the principal or supervisor, reasonably conform to this dress code shall receive a written notice from the principal or program supervisor. So to me, it seems like that's giving the principal the ability, you know, we trust you. We trust you all to say, that's probably not professional, or that looks great, you know, wear more things like that, whatever. I mean, to me, that's what that sentence right there says, but.
I think when we talked about in our working meeting that we had last week, it was, we want the administrators to know that we have your back. That when you need to have that conversation, we agree, we have your back, and it's in there that you have the ability and the right to make that, and we think you should be able to do that. So we want to support you.
Okay, I just want to read one thing, because I think it's the very top of this policy,
Yep.
I like what it says very well. It says, one of the reasons we have schools is for students to learn what is appropriate. Young people learn what is appropriate in society by looking at their adult role models. Your dress and your behavior are what young people will take to be appropriate. So clearly want to have, professional look. And if in the opinion of the principal, it is not, they have every right and should talk to those staff members and ask them to just share their expectations and don't try to set the bar low.
Yeah.
And I think they can do that individually as opposed to, and I think this gives support. I think it's good that you guys have given that support to your principals to do that.
Do you feel okay with this? Do you feel like we need to do something different for you? Do you feel like it's a big enough issue for the whole, or is it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Or is it?
I guess my biggest question would be, do we regress back? And then I hate to make it sound like
Regress back from what?
So will this just open a can of worms as far as I'm gonna wear shorts now?
I just don't know that shorts are our issue. If it is though, then to me, I would have a conversation with someone,
I would feel comfortable. I'm just saying across the board, so that consistency. So if someone else doesn't feel comfortable with it, then well, they get to wear shorts at this building. Why
Well,
don't
I
you?
think that's where
Yeah.
our superintendent's gonna meet
Superintendent.
with his administrators and describe what is professional.
What is professional?
Is sports,
Yeah,
is
like we can-
shorts,
right.
are they not? We're going to be across the board the same.
because I think, it gets tricky if you start
It is
getting
tricky. It is
real
tricky.
nitpicky
Right.
about
Little things.
every
Because
tiny little thing.
somebody can wear a skirt
Right.
that's professional
And it's professional.
It's no different than longer shorts, but some people can wear.
So I think that's
it's
the
tricky.
thing, I think that's where that, under your discretion, if they're coming in sloppy, messy athletic shorts and they don't teach PE, or,
Yeah.
but if it's someone coming in with a skirt that looks, or shorts, but it looks like a skirt and looks professional, I don't know, I just think.
These are always tough to make it just an absolute, one size fits all rule, but because some just look great and some just don't, and if you're just not looking kind of at a professional level, clearly I think principals can have that discussion with usually it's one or two individuals, say, hey, can you fix this? And if not, there's some steps spelled out in here, how to move forward, and I think that would probably be adequate for now for this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, for a little
Sounds
while.
good. Thank you.
We appreciate the administrators and want them to know that we're here to support, not create more problems. Because we probably do that plenty. I do. I know what I'm like. Any other? I think, we just want to be able to say that as much as anything. It's just, we're here to support and help. So, lastly, communication, do we have some cards? And Melanie's not here, so.
Am I reading?
You get to read. I'm glad you volunteered,
Yes,
because
I will. Just took a bite of cookie. Okay. Thank you, card. Dave, Kyla, and Riley, thank you all for coming to my retirement party and the great gift. It has been a pleasure to work with all of you over the years and your friendships. Thank you, Terry. Oh, my mom.
How
glad you read
appropriate
that.
that you read that one.
That
I
was so nice of her.
Did you not recognize her writing?
It's funny, as soon as I got down to her name. I mean, I didn't have to read her name to know that, yeah. Okay, another thank you. Dear friends, we want to thank you for your generous donation in memory of Bonnie. Every gift we receive is used to bless someone in need in our county. May you be blessed because you care for others. With much appreciation, Marcia Nickel.
It's
Nice.
loving,
Loving.
loving,
Nice.
yeah.
And if I may get away with, were we gonna have a moment of silence for?
Yes, we are, for Ken Kellum, our longtime employee, and he was a coach, I think he was administrator, he was a teacher.
It was amazing.
Dave and I have been and visited with Luann, and I believe his celebration of life will be on April 12th at the high school in the auditorium there. Those can make it. I'm not sure of the time, but I'm sure it'll be out there. But what a great man. Driver's ed. I'll tell you, I can keep going on a list of things that Ken Kellum did for our school district. And he was very active in your church. I know he did a lot with people there. And I'm driving home from Pioneers, from working here, he'd always be out there on his riding lawnmower. I swear, he mowed his lawn more, well, maybe as much as my husband, but liked to mow his lawn. It always looks so nice. And Luann is really, if you can keep her in her parish, she's really struggling. So
There's a small insurance that the district had on him, life insurance, so we were able to take her to check, that would probably help with funeral expenses. She is a wonderful lady as well, just wonderful, long-time staff member here as well. I have down that it's the 12th at 2 o'clock.
Okay.
It's Kim Kellum for that, so.
okay.
So we would like, because he's been such an integral part of our school system, just take 10 seconds of silence, if you would, with me, please. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, thanks for letting me go off the schedule just a little bit to recognize somebody. Not supposed to do that, but it was important. So with that,
I move that we adjourn this meeting.
No one else wants to.
I'll second it.
I was gonna say, you're gonna die for lack of a second.
We need 15 more minutes.
I've never seen that happen.
Oh my God!
We were waiting for our second.
Oh my
Motion has been made and
goodness!
seconded to adjourn. All those in favor?
Hey, oh my goodness!
Hey, you want to go to dodgeball tomorrow?
That was funny.
We're having to stare down.
Thank you, guys.